Hey guys, in this video, I wanted to take a few minutes and take a look at identifying payments that are associated with your FusionPay deposits. How do we sync those payments into QuickBooks, and how do we make a bank deposit in QuickBooks with those payments once they are indicated to be deposited? So this process really starts from the FusionPay dashboard. So from the accounting drop-down menu on the bottom right corner, we have the FusionPay dashboard, which brings you to this screen. This screen is organized into the dashboard, the payments, and the deposits section. And guys, we do have a deep dive video on how to best navigate this dashboard. Check out that video for some additional information. But for today, what we'll do is navigate over to our deposit section. So here we have three different deposits. We actually see a negative entry as our first deposit. This may be indicative that a refund has hit. Probably associated with the $20 payment. We see that to be true. It was the same card. And then we see a $200 deposit. So these deposits, we could match up to their corresponding payments here on the payment dashboard for sure. And we can also now sync these payments over to QuickBooks. The idea would be, since they've indicated to be deposited into my bank account, I also want to make the corresponding bank deposit in QuickBooks. But I need to make sure that these payments have synced to QuickBooks, of course, before I can make the corresponding bank deposits. So to start that process, we'll go ahead and navigate over to our integration tool, and we will initiate a manual sync. We'll tell it, let's go ahead and sync now. We don't have our estimate sync turned on in this account, so that's a good message to see, because yes, the estimate sync is in fact not enabled. And so we'll continue over to the invoice sync. We're actually going to skip this invoice sync. It looks like we do have a couple that are staged to sync, but we're more interested in the payments that we have. So here we see our list of payments, and we can pick out the ones. These are all the payments that we need to sync. As you can see in this account, we have 57 payments that it recognizes that we need to sync, and we have all sorts of dates, some that are even a couple of years old, and some that are a little bit more recent. So I'm really interested in syncing this $20 payment as well as this $200 payment in this example. So we'll pull back up that list of payments that need to be synced, and we will identify those payments. So here I have a $200 entry on 3/10. And if I hit the down arrow, I can get some additional information about this payment. So I can see this is for All-Star LED lighting, and the date of the payment was actually March 9th. So it deposited into our account on 3/10, and the payment itself was 3/9 into All-Star lighting in the amount of $200. So let's see if in our payment list we can identify a payment to from All-Star Lighting on 3/9 in the amount of $200. And if so, that's going to be the one we're interested in syncing. We do see an All-Star Lighting for January. We can sort this by date, and then here we go. We've got a All-Star Lighting payment. Well, that's actually 3/10. So we're still looking for our 3/9 All-Star Lighting payment that needs to sync to QuickBooks. And we see it here. So we'll uncheck that all payments need to go, and instead we will select our All-Star Light LED lighting $200 payment on March 9th. So next, let's see if we can find the one from the 23rd. So our deposit happened on the 23rd in the amount of $20. The payment actually occurred on the 22nd. And let's see who the customer is. Here it's John Doe. So John Doe, the payment on the 22nd in the amount of $20. So let's see if we can find that in our list of payments that need to be synced. And here we go. So on the 22nd, John Doe, $20. And so we'll choose to go ahead and sync this as well. So we'll choose, let's sync selected payments. Both of those synced successfully. So now let's go find those guys over on the QuickBooks side. So A couple of different ways that we can identify where those payments are in QuickBooks. Certainly one of those ways is to navigate into the Customer Center in QuickBooks, and we can navigate to the customer record. We could also do this by invoice. This is just one of the ways that we can take a look and find those transactions. So, because All-Star LED Lighting is actually the first customer listed in my Customer Center in QuickBooks, we default to that view, and we also then see the payment that we're looking for. So the amount of $200, and the payment was made on March 9th. And then we also had one for John Doe, and this one was a $20 payment where the payment was received on 3/22. So we know the deposit date for these guys, and we know that they have two different dates. So what we might want to do is make two separate bank deposits reflective of the payments that were deposited on those respective dates. Now here we only have one payment per deposit. We have the $20 payment that deposited on the 23rd after being received on the 22nd. And then we also have the $200 payment that was deposited on the 10th after being processed on the 9th. So let's just go ahead and make bank deposits out of these guys. So in QuickBooks, in my banking tab, I'm going to go down to Make Deposits. And then I see two payments that have yet to be deposited. So I see both of those payments that I just synced. I see the All-Star LED Lighting for $200 payment processed on the 9th. And then I see my $20 John Doe payment processed on the 22nd. So I'm going to do this. I could deposit both of these and just say that they were deposited today. Or I could reflect that the deposits occurred on the same day that the deposit happened. And I think I would rather do that. So first we'll choose just this first payment. March 9th is when the payment processed. But remember, the deposit actually hit our account on 3/10. So instead of saying that we're going to deposit this today, instead, we'll say that we're depositing it on 3/10 to match the information from our FusionPay dashboard. And that's all we need to do. We'll make sure that it's depositing to the proper account. If I have more than one account, I could certainly do that. But instead, this defaulted to the proper bank account that I wish to make the deposit to, and the same one that would be reflected from my FusionPay dashboard. And so in this instance, I'll just simply choose to save and close. And then now I want to make that second deposit. So the deposit was for John Doe in the amount of $20. And we know the deposit occurred the day after the payment was processed. So in this case, the deposit should be dated for March 23rd. So we'll do the same action. We'll go to our banking dropdown and choose Make Deposits. And it will show us a list of all the payments that have yet to be deposited. You can see that the $200 payment that we saw on this list just a moment ago has now been removed from this list, and we're left with just the one payment that we happen to be interested in. And so we'll say, yes, this is the payment that we choose to include in this deposit. We'll say, okay, and that adds it to the deposit slip, so to speak. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this date. It's still showing March 10th from the previous deposit that we made. But we want that to be reflected to have deposited on the 23rd. And guys, to make the bank deposit with the FusionPay payment, it is that easy.